Welcome to ASUG News. I'm Gina Marchese. Joining me today is Ed Bender, VP of Technology and Validation. VP of Technology and Operations with Zimmermann. Stefan Kneis, VP of the Customer Validation Program at SAP. They're joining us here today along with my colleague, Tom Whalegum, our co-editorial director of ASUG News. We're here to talk about the Customer Validation Program. I understand Zimmermann has participated in the program. Ed, could you share a little bit about your decision to start in the program?
Sure, Zimmermann's had a long partnership with SAP going well over 10 years now. We're close by in Philadelphia, that's an advantage for us. And through Stefan and his organization, we've been able to take part in the Customer Validation Program to our benefit and to SAP's benefit. And I think because it's a two-way beneficial relationship, I think that's one of the main reasons why we agreed to participate on it. Because it is a significant investment in our time, as well as SAP's time, but they're big benefits for us.
You talk about investment, and Stefan, I should tell us a little bit about why SAP invested so much in the Customer Validation Program.
Yeah. I think we started thinking about this about 2 years ago, when we have been talking to a number of our customers, such as Zimmermann, but others, who in particular invested into the ramp-up program. And as you know, the ramp-up program is the first opportunity for a customer to use our product and solution in a productive environment. And the feedback was clearly that there should be something in addition before ramp-up, where customers have an opportunity to work with us in a sort of risk-free environment, where we bring in our resources, and that is our investment, and they come from development, they come from consulting, they come from solution management, and we give the customer an opportunity to install what we call a prototype version of our software. If we talk about on-premise, and then obviously we have on-demand, where we don't need to worry about installment. But still, we come in a structured way and run a number of scenarios based on customer input. That is the important point here, that we don't do it from our lab perspective, we do it with input and with close collaboration with our customers.
And what was your, at the outset of it, what was your expectations for what you would get out of it? And has your expectations been met?
Yes, I think one of the early expectations was that we would get to see an advanced copy of the software. One of Zimmermann's tenets since our launch with SAP is not to do in-house custom development. So we do have a development team in place, but again, we try to minimize that. And the benefit of the validation program pre-ramp-up is to be able to try out the software ahead of time, also give input back to SAP, and in some cases offer them guidance to features and functionality or changes that we'd like to see in the software that would benefit us, and hence prevent us from having to invest internal resources in custom development of software.
One of the tenets of ASUG is ASUG Influence, and this is very closely related to the ASUG Influence program. How much influence do you feel as a customer you have as part of this program?
I think it's huge. Again, it's direct interaction with the development team that's actually developing the particular product that's under test. One-on-one discussions with the developers. And there's been cases where resources are deployed by SAP directly to our headquarters location, and our developers and our testers can work directly, and our end users can work directly with the product ahead of time and provide valuable feedback, and also, again, help to allow us to shape the product and not invest in internal resources.
Yeah. And I think I can very much relate to that. I think SAP has a really deep history in working closely with our customers. That's how we develop, products such as R3, the entire business suite, and so on. But obviously now we are a much larger company and with a much larger developer community, and we need new ways and different ways and organized ways to get the development community and the product management community working with customers. And the Customer Validation Program is one of those initiatives. It's not the only one. There are things like the Customer Engagement Initiative, new programs like Customer Connection, and all of this definitely plays very deep into ASUG's desire to influence SAP.
Since they get the product pre-ramp up, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
How much changes or how much change can his input or other people's input actually affect the software?
Tom, that's a very, very good question. And in an honest answer, I mean, the changes in terms of new features and functions, I have to limit that expectation. Yeah? Because somehow it relates to the time frame we have, which depending on the products, maybe 4 weeks up to 8 weeks at most. And there's also the core goal is really to stabilize the product and make the final stretch before we move it into ramp-up. And while ramp-up is a limited program in terms of number of customers who can participate, it is the first time where you as a customer can really deploy the solution in a productive environment, so that the product has to be robust. And with every change, with every new feature, you bring in the risk to destabilize. Yeah? That's just the reality of software development, that's my experience. So our commitment is quality comes first, and that's where we're focusing on. And everything else which comes as new feature requests, very important, we take this and make it as input for the next development cycle.
Yeah, even if it's not, again, getting direct input before the ramp up, because you're talking directly to the developers and the team, they listen to what you're saying and they take that feedback to heart and try and, if not in then, they get it in the next release of the product.
What would you say if someone challenged you in the fact that you're based in Philadelphia, you're a large company, but maybe a smaller company wouldn't have the same opportunities? Is that a fair statement, or do you think that there's opportunity to grow the program?
I would be happy to challenge that statement, because yes, we very much enjoy the close relationship we have with as well as with other customers in the Philadelphia area, likewise in Palo Alto, which makes things easier, quite frankly, no doubt about that. But this program is open to virtually to every customer.
But you do have to make an internal investment as well. I mean, every time we do this, we don't just do it for every product. It has to be something that we're interested in, and then we deploy significant resources internally, on a dedicated basis in a very short time frame, is how it usually works. And so it is an internal investment, regardless of the size of your company.
Is this your first experience with the customer validation program, or have you done this before?
We've done it in the past several times.
So it's fair to say you have a proven track record.
Yes.
You're signing up for it. What are the most tangible benefits you're seeing?
Again, the most tangible benefits I see is, again, that feedback, being able to give that, being able to evaluate it ahead of time. Also, in some cases, reduced cost. For example, most recent one was with SAP's new Afaria product for mobile device management. We were already well underway with our deployment of Afaria in terms of installation, configuration, or up to the point where we were getting ready to install the product. We learned about the the customer validation program for the latest version, which we were going on the current version, not the new version. And when we heard about it and the fact that it was going to be only 1 month from the time that we were scheduled to go live, and heard about some of the features and capabilities in the new product, we said, why go live on the current version? We might as well take advantage and save the cost of upgrading later. We had resources deployed on behalf of SAP instead of expending Day & Zimmermann funds through the program. They brought experts on site, the absolute best experts in the product, not consultants who maybe a little less experienced. And it was a quick 4-week program, and unlike most customer validation experiences, in this case, the go live for the product is at the end. In most cases, it goes to ramp up. One of the key rules for the customer validation program is typically, even though you install it, configure it, test it, and ring it out, you're not allowed to go productive with it at the end. You have to go into ramp up. But in the case of the Afaria product, it went right from CUV to go live. And so we were now live on the product, and it was very enjoyable.
And let me just touch on the last point. Ed is absolutely correct. For most of our products, we do have the proven ramp-up phase. But I have another customer example I could share where we had this situation. This was in a business objects environment where the customer technically had to go to the ramp-up version because that is the approved version to be supported by SAP, but they went live within the first week after the beginning of ramp-up. Without customer validation and their time investment and our investment, this would have not been possible.
Wow. Ed, you mentioned the internal IT resources that, are there non-IT people that come in on there? Are they involved?
Absolutely,
in
the end users. Our end users are the most important. That's why we're here. And we bring them into every one of these programs to help test and give input from the end user point of view, not just the IT point of view.
So if you had to explain to them, this is a new program, this is why we're doing it, are they like, why are we doing this now?
Yeah, in most cases we try and select from the user population those folks that would have an interest in the particular enhancement or capability that we're looking to deploy.
One last question, Stefan. If you're a customer and you're interested in the customer validation program, how do they find out about it?
That's actually a very good point. We just started launching a page on the service marketplace at SAP. So that's one way to find out. but I'm also going to intensify the collaboration with ASAC, so I'm going to use ASAC channels to make customers aware about the opportunities.
Great. Ed, Stefan, Tom, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today in ASAC News. We'll be following up later this afternoon with an interview with Anthony Bosco and Mike Stocco.